Peppa Pig. George has changed. One evening, Peppa's family was having dinner together. George looked tired and barely played with his dinosaur, which was unusual for him. "George, are you okay?" Peppa asked. "Yes," he said quietly, but his voice sounded strange, as though it came from far away. "He's probably just tired," Mummy Pig said. That night, Peppa woke up to a strange sound. It was a faint whisper coming from their room. She looked over at George and saw him sitting on his bed, staring at the wall. "George, what are you doing?" she asked. "They're calling me," he whispered without turning his head. The next morning, George was acting even stranger. He didn't want to play, didn't eat breakfast, and refused to answer questions. Peppa noticed that his eyes looked darker and his skin appeared pale. "Mummy, what's wrong with George?" Peppa asked. "He just needs some rest," Mummy Pig replied. But Peppa couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. That night, Peppa heard the whispering again. This time it was louder, and she could make out the words, "Come to us, come to us." She turned to George's bed, but it was empty. His bed was neatly made, but his dinosaur toy lay on the floor, torn to pieces. "George, where are you?" Peppa called out. She crept downstairs and found George in the living room. He was standing in the center of the room, illuminated by the moonlight. Around him, the shadows on the floor seemed to move as if they were alive. "George," Peppa called again, her voice trembling. He turned to her, smiling in a way she had never seen before. "I'm not George anymore," he said in a low, raspy voice. Peppa tried to run, but the doors to the house were locked. George followed her slowly, his shadow on the walls growing larger and more distorted. She noticed his hands were changing. His fingers had grown long and claw-like, and his eyes were now completely black. "You'll change too, Peppa," he whispered, his voice echoing from every corner of the house. Peppa hid in her room and locked the door. But the shadows under the door began to seep into the room like thick, dark smoke. Soon George was outside her door, his voice a soft whisper. "Don't be afraid, sister. It doesn't hurt." The door creaked open, and in that moment, Peppa glanced at the mirror. Her reflection was different. Her eyes were now black, and her face twisted into a sinister smile.